Okay, it's 7:02. I'm pretty sure we have a quorum. I'm sure a few more people will come in yet, but I'm going to go ahead and start. This is the January 2022 meeting of the Mira Mesa Community Planning Group. We'll start with non-agenda public comments. Are there any non-agenda public comments tonight? These are comments on anything not in the agenda, but still within the purview of the planning group. Hearing none, we will move on. Next is modifications to the agenda. I have two. One is Sheldon has asked to introduce his replacement Denise at the start of the meeting. And the second is that the Three Roots sign program has been postponed until February. So hopefully it'll be a short meeting tonight, although we have had a lot of correspondence. So stick with us. So, all right, I think, well, let's see, I guess we should, first thing, we'll adopt the previous meeting minutes. This is a good time to call the roll. Also, Tiffany, I see you're here. Can you call the roll, please?
Absolutely.
And people say whether you approve or disapprove of the minutes.
Okay. Kent Lee.
Kent said he was not going to be here or might be here late.
Okay. Andrew.
Approve.
Okay. Lilith.
Approve.
Ian.
Approve.
Craig Jackson.
Approve.
Ralph. Carolyn, not here.
Don't see him now.
Okay. John LaBelle.
Approved.
Joe.
Approve.
Barry.
Approve.
Jeff, I'm assuming you
Approve.
approve. Dorothy.
Muted.
Muted. This is
Dorothy, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Did you say you approve? I saw your lips say approve. I think you're on mute, but I see you say approve, so I'm just going to go ahead and mark you as approved. Craig Radke.
Approve.
Julia.
Approve.
Harkshan.
He said he would not be here today.
Okay. I approve. Marvin.
Approve.
Justin.
Approve.
And Mike Linton. Mike here.
Don't see him. I think he'll probably be joining us.
A little late.
A little
Okay.
later. Yes.
Okay. So
Okay, well, I'm sure we have a quorum, so
we have 14.
we can proceed. Minutes are approved as written. Thank you, Tiffany, for the nice job on the minutes.
No problem. Thank you.
So we will go on to Sheldon. Go ahead and do your introduction.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Probably my last meeting tonight here. So I wanted to introduce Denise Torres to everybody. She's already doing 110% for Mira Mesa and Sorrento Valley. So she's a good one. You'll be in good hands with her and with Allstate. So again, I'd just like to introduce Denise Torres, and she'll be your new representative.
Denise, you want to say something?
Hello, nice meeting everyone. I think this is my first time to meet everyone at the Mira Mesa Community Planning Group. So I'm very eager to serve everyone, and hopefully we all work together and help, think of things to help the city.
Thank you, Denise. Okay, we'll go on to report of the chair. There's been quite a bit of mail and communications in the last week, or since the last meeting, which of course was in November. One, just to remind people, we have a business vacancy. So if someone knows a qualified business owner or representative who would like to join the planning group, please have them contact me. Some communications. I got an email from Tom Mulaney, who tracked down the grant applications for the community plan updates that are currently in progress. That's ours, University City and Hillcrest. He's from Hillcrest. One thing I didn't know is that the $625,000 grant application for Mira Mesa committed to adding 10,000 to 20,000 units to the community plan before we even started the update. I also got a phone call from Alexandria. Alexandria is one of our main business landowners and developers, expressing some concern about the proposed land use changes in Sereno Mesa. They're part of the community plan update. What they told me is that the new zones that are being proposed there do not necessarily require housing, but they increase the allowed floor area ratio by a factor of 3. And then that's causing speculation in industrial land prices in Sereno Mesa, so that they're unable to basically buy property in the area for the projects they want. I'll let Alex comment on those when we get to his spot on the agenda. Quite a bit of mail. Nora is a notice of right to appeal. In case you don't like this, generally there are approvals of various things. In this case, this one's for the Tet Festival. That'll be February 2nd to 4th in Mira Mesa Community Park. That's actually a very nice event. I recommend people go there. Then there was the first assessment letter and cycle issues for a neighborhood use permit for a proposed comprehensive sign program for 3 routes. That's the one that was on the agenda tonight, but they said they weren't quite ready yet. So that will be, we'll have that on the agenda in February. I got some updated plans for the Flying T project. That's the one, that's the old Carroll Canyon Golf and Rec down at the, on Carroll Canyon Road. The clubhouse is big.
Turn off the radio, I'm in a meeting.
Yeah, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. The clubhouse they're proposing is really big. When I looked at it, at first I thought there was an apartment complex and they were proposing residential. I don't think that's the case, having taken a second look at it, but I'm surprised at the size of what they're proposing. So I'll send that. I think Craig and Lil, we had you as a subcommittee on that, so I'll send you their plans and let you take a look at it. That'll come up within the next couple of months here on our agenda. There's a NORA for COVID-19 testing with Broadwell Behavioral Health Services. That'll be in the parking lot behind the Senior Center and Epicenter. It says temporary walk-up testing, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. It doesn't list what dates that'll occur on, but Denise, I see you nodding your head. Do you know more about that one?
Yeah, because I asked my colleague who's in charge of this event, and she said there is no update yet whether this free COVID testing site will be extended. So if I hear anything, I will definitely update the group. But so far, there's no update yet whether there's an extension.
What do you mean extension? They're not doing it yet.
Oh, the one in the Senior Center. Yeah. So that one we're still waiting for updates whether it's going to go through. But the one in Zion Market, which is in Convoy, that is ongoing currently for District 6, and we're waiting whether there is an extension because there was a good turnout, but I think they're still trying to see if they can continue doing it.
Okay. It's a nice thing. That's a lot of time for someone to spend there. That's 7 days a week from 7 to 7 is a pretty big commitment. So it'd be great if we can get it. Then there was a NORA for a right of entry permit for the Mira Mesa Women's Club to build a little library at Sandberg Park. That's one of these little libraries where people can take and put in books on their own. There's a notice of draft availability of a draft EIR for the single-use plastic reduction ordinance. The city is proposing an ordinance that would amend the San Diego Municipal Code to restrict the use of polystyrene products throughout the city. The proposed ordinance includes a ban on the distribution of egg cartons, food serviceware, or food trays that are made in whole or apart from polystyrene foam. There was also a letter from Ice Skate. This went to Alex and I was copied on it. They're the owner of the San Diego Ice Arena. They're asking for the property to be placed in the update of the Mira Mesa Community Plan as medium-high residential, 30 to 44 units per acre instead of commercial recreational. They say they want to continue operating the ice arena under a CUP. They're not planning to change that, but obviously sometime in the future, they envision redeveloping it. There's an announcement of a planning commission hearing on planning group reform. That was this morning. Joe LaCava has been working on this. He presented those to CPC last month and CPC didn't like them very much. I'll have more to say about that later. Planning commission did approve the proposals this morning. Also, notice of a planning commission hearing on January 27th on the T-Mobile Mira Mesa flagpole, a process for decision. The city recommended approval on that, as did we when that came to us. All right. We'll go on to old business. Alex, community plan update.
Good evening, everyone. Alex Frost, Senior Planner with the Planning Department, Project Manager for the Mira Mesa Community Plan Update. We have a meeting planned for February 24th. That meeting will be discussing the release of the community discussion draft, which is a way to think about it is a pre-plan. And to provide the advisory committee with an opportunity to review initial policy languages and design standards and community plan implementation overlay zone supplemental development regulations. So we are planning to have that ready and hope to send it to the advisory committee a week before. So that's a big meeting coming up. In addition, February 3rd is the Planning Commission hearing for the On Point Tech Center. That's the Carroll Canyon site. Report, we are still working on the staff report and finalizing the analysis, but that report will be available next Wednesday. And Jeff, I'll send you the link as soon as it becomes available.
Good.
In terms of, there was a question, there were two questions, I believe. Oh, the grant, yes. So one of the funding source for Mira Mesa Community Plan Update is a grant. It's SB2 grant from California Department of Housing and Community Development. And one of the requirements for that grant was adding additional housing capacity as the city is continuing to face housing unaffordability crisis. It seems to have gotten a lot worse since we began the plan update. So yes, that information is correct.
Yeah, so Alex, I mean, I can't say that's a big surprise at this point, given what we've seen since then, but it would have been nice if you had told us that at the outset, that you basically had a requirement to add that many units and that that was going to be the basis of the whole update.
Yeah, so Jeff, we have multiple funding sources. So the grant from Housing Community Development from the state, that was just a small portion of the funding. We also have grant funding from SANDAG, which initially allowed for us to start the community plan update. And then we have one additional funding source, part of the LEAP grant, again, another grant from the state. in combination with the general plan maintenance fund. So yeah, there are multiple funding sources and then multiple requirements that we have to meet.
But I think it would have been, regardless of where, that was a funding source or whatnot, it would have been nice to know ahead of time that there were certain requirements that had to be met, regardless of, why there were those requirements.
Correct. So if we secure any additional funding, I can share that information with you for grant funding.
Are there any other requirements we don't know about yet?
It's the requirements are the usual, improving job housing balance, new employment and housing, near transit, and then increasing housing capacity is just the state and the regional and, city policies, and trying to implement that and create opportunities for future generations.
I see Joe has his hand up. Joe?
Yeah, I just want to know why the funding for the community plan update is not from the general fund. Why do we have to go to these ancillary things out here to get funding for this when it's part of the plan in the city?
Yes, I agree. But we are encouraged to secure external funding to help supplement the general maintenance fund. As Joe, we have infrastructure deficit. The last I checked, I think it's like $5 billion. So any opportunities we have to, secure additional funding from the state or regional agencies, we pursue it at the planning department.
John LeBon has his hand up. John?
Hey, Alex, I was just wondering if this is a requirement for all of the community plans that are being redone now and will be done in the future, or is this something that's as various different community plans come up that they're being done?
Yes, so every plan update has, I think the grants for housing and community development, I think there's 3 community plan updates. As Jeff mentioned, a Hillcrest amendment and college area, I believe.
That's university.
Oh, University City, yeah, part of that, and then Mira Mesa. So that's the 3, and yeah, there is a range of housing capacity added requirement.
I mean, it just seems that if we have one of the biggest communities already asking us to then increase it by more than maybe some of the others are being asked to increase it by, seems again to be a little bit counterproductive for us that live here now.
So I think the requirements are much higher for University City, as they have the new $2 billion Midcoast Trolley investment. And Hillcrest, I think that it's quite substantial as well. And Jeff, you may have the list.
Yeah, so the requirements for University City were 10,000 to 30,000. And I forget what Hillcrest was.
Yeah, I think it's like 10,000.
That's what I think too. So
a lot smaller area for Hillcrest. So
yeah. So Alex, the big problem here is that you're coming up with a discussion draft next month. You've been using these up to 24,000 units now as kind of as if it were final, but the committee said go ahead and look at that so we could find out what the impacts would be, and if you can do the mitigation, if you can do the infrastructure for that, then maybe that'd be okay. But so far we've seen no impact analysis, no infrastructure proposals. With the proposed, the projected population of 160,000, more than twice what we have now, I mean, we're not going to be able to get by with the schools we have now. So, we need to know some of these other things before we can proceed further.
correct. So the community discussion draft allows for the initial input. We are also preparing the mobility technical analysis. So the results and analysis and all the raw data from the mobility presentation that we had in November. So we will have that hopefully available by next meeting as well. So that should provide some assurance on the infrastructure impact. The school capacity analysis, that's part of the EIR analysis. We do have one school site identified at Stone Creek. So that's part of their master plan development process. But San Diego Unified School District will determine additional capacity required for the projected growth. What's happening in other parts of the city is that schools are going more vertical. So they're adding second floor like they used to. So that's one way if we don't have new lands available. Also changing the district lines. But that's up to the San Diego Unified analysis. So that will be part of the EIR.
It'd be nice to get that sooner rather than later.
We'll try to get to you, get the analysis to you, Jeff, before the draft EIR, at least the school capacity analysis.
Okay, and for the next meeting, can you get the your presentation and the backup materials to us before the meeting?
Yes, we'll try to do it a week before. It may be 3 days before, but.
Okay.
I kind of remembered, I think this is probably what Jeff was talking about. You know, several months ago, you had asked us to settle on one that you wanted to do modeling on, but now it sounds like even though we did that, that there's going to be no modeling available for us to look at.
Can you repeat the question, Ian?
So several months ago, you asked us to sort of pick one of your plans so that we could do modeling on it, because you said that we couldn't do modeling on sort of the 2 or 3 different plans that we were trying to look at between. But it sounds like we're not going to get that modeling done now. Is that what you're saying?
No. We'll have the actual technical report. So what we presented in November was the summary, like the high level summary. So we'll have the whole mobility technical analysis report, looking at the 3 scenarios. So adopted plan, which is the current plan build out, versus the recommended land use build out, and then one alternative, if you remember, a build out as well. So I believe typically in the EIR, we'll have no change, which is adopted build out, and then the preferred land use, and then one alternative. So the EIR will look at all those potential impacts and provide different mitigation measures.
Okay.
What's the schedule for a draft EIR?
It's so right now, Mira Mesa Community Plan Update is part of the Blueprint San Diego initiative, which is a citywide initiative. And so we are still in discussion and evaluating what the potential schedule is. Our initial schedule was to have a draft EIR in June, but through the Blueprint initiative, that's been delayed. So now we're exploring doing a standalone EIR for Mira Mesa Community Plan Update. But I'll let you know when that's finalized or not.
Okay, that would be better. I mean, they really do need to focus on this, especially considering what what's being proposed here.
Mhm.
All right, any more questions for Alex?
Jeff, could you forward me the letter you received from Alexandria? You could.
It wasn't a letter. It was I actually talked to them and they showed me a few view graphs.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't take very good notes, so I'll see if I have anything, but I don't think I do.
Mhm. Okay.
They probably talked to you by now too, I would think.
Recently.
Okay.
But it is true, in terms of the life science sector has been extremely hot real estate wise. So it's been Sorrento Mesa has been one of the beneficiaries in the growth of the life science sectors in recent times. So yeah, that's and a lot of investors from outside of San Diego, so Chicago and then Boston area, other life science clusters, they're coming into the market as well. So yeah, there is a lot more competition.
Okay, thank you, Alex. We will see you next month. All right, as I mentioned, the Three Roots sign program has been deferred, so we'll go on to the local clean energy program. Is Sonia Robinson here?
Hi. Hi, Jeff. If I can, hi, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to provide this presentation today from Protect Our Communities Foundation. And if it's possible, looks like I need to be able to.
You should be able to share your screen.
Yeah, I see that, but normally when I look at it, it shows the PowerPoint that's on my screen, but it's not doing that.
Yeah, it usually gives you a choice of things to.
Okay, do you guys see a PowerPoint presentation now?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the
Okay.
draft version, not a displayed version, but you see it.
Yes, I'm going to fix that. Thank you so much. Just had a little complication.
Yeah.
So I guess, again, thank you all for allowing me to make this presentation. I'm going to kind of give a quicker summary, as Jeff let me know he runs a tight meeting, and I respect that. So why am I here, and why does it matter for local clean energy? And it really kind of boils down to three different buckets. We're looking at cost, equity, and climate action. So right now we know our costs are continually to rise. There's been a lot of coverage in our local news that's stating that our SDG&E bills are increasing. And so equity, local solutions mean local benefits for all San Diegans, and we think that's really important, as well as addressing our climate action and our climate change. We see rooftop solar as part of that solution, and right now it's being under attack by SDG&E as well as the other investor-owned utilities at the Public Utilities Commission addressing NEM, which is net energy metering. So this next slide here is talking about what we're doing locally. So there's a resolution that was passed on November 15th, a few months ago, from our local city council here in the city of San Diego, which I'm really proud about. And so I'm going to just state it real quickly. It says a resolution of the San Diego City Council urging the California Public Utilities Commission to adopt a lawful net energy metering rulemaking decision which supports continuing growth of customer-sited solar energy installations. And that last statement of continuing growth is also state legislation, which is AB 327. So another topic that we want to cover and discuss is our public power feasibility as we talk about costs, and costs is continually to rise, and as well as equity. It has been proven that public power, which is also known as a community-owned utilities model, definitely reduces our rates significantly. And it's important for you all to understand that there is a $1 million budget line item with the city council, with the city budget for a public power feasibility, and that is for fiscal year 2022. In addition to the feasibility study that was allocated, the city also agreed and passed for a citizens oversight task force for the public power study, and there's been applications that has been submitted, but there's been no response or action taken. So anyone that's interested on that, we're asking that you can contact the mayor's office and ask that we expedite the feasibility study for public power, as well as the applications that form that task force. So in addition to talk about the public power feasibility, I think it's really interesting to correlate that topic with what took place that some of you may have heard about with the franchise agreement that was voted last summer. So both in 1970 and in 2020, the city's consultant recommended that the city and the residents of the city of San Diego would benefit tremendously if they chose a different model for the utilities, being it public power. They suggested that if there's no conforming franchise, that the city should consider converting to a community-owned utilities, AKA also known as public power. And that was shared both in 1970 and 2020. And as I mentioned before, we do have $1 million in our budget to do a study to determine that that city should move that direction. Now, one of the reasons why our utility rates are so high is directly connected to the transmission and distribution capital projects that are occurring with SDG&E. So they're focused on expanding the old conventional infrastructure with transmission and distribution capital projects, and that just puts more hurt on our pockets and make us pay higher rates. So I think it's important also to point out that SDG&E's net profits is significantly over $1 million a day. And one of the next slides will show that, depict those facts. Now, as a quick reminder that the Edison Electric Institute has also stated back in 2012 that the old model, as I mentioned before, with long distribution and transmission projects will soon become obsolete. And so I've been shown and been taught that it's often important to know where the money trail is. And so right here, just want to point out that the investor-owned utilities do give $2 million a year to the Edison Electric Institute. And that's all three of them, PG&E, SoCal, as well as SDG&E. As I mentioned, the highest rates, some of you may know that SDG&E customers, which I'm one of them, we pay the highest rates in the continental United States. So we have the highest rates of our utility in the continental United States. Hawaii is the only other one that rates are higher. So this represents an average household utility usage and how much that average utility usage is costing. And that comparison is a strike difference, a huge variance between SDG&E and Sacramento. It's important for me to point out here that Sacramento is actually a public utilities. So Sacramento actually has the community-owned utility model, and their prices and their rates are half of ours as SDG&E customers. So as I mentioned before, those profits. So you can see over the last 10 years, what's a significant increase, which is over $800 million just in 2020. And that was a pretty tremendous increase. Now, this is also showing the rate and cost of the transmission and distribution capital projects that I just mentioned before. And so the blue line shows the increased cost of those transmission projects that's costing us on our bill. The red line indicates how much it would have been if there wasn't rooftop solar. So with rooftop solar being a key player in our overall aggregated energy system, that it's helped reduce that transmission cost increasing as it most likely would have without it. This right here just shows how much our rates are now, and in 10 years, it's already projected to be 16 cents more, which is roughly a 64% increase that we're already paying. This also reference that transmission and distribution. And one of our solutions to our wildfire is to have that rooftop solar plus the battery as a low cost and reliable solution to mitigate our wildfires that are often in those rural areas that the transmission lines create. So it's also here in San Diego, we are leading in the state of California with rooftop solar. We have over 1 million throughout the state, and here in San Diego, we have over 200,000 rooftop solar systems, and we want that to continue to grow and expand. Now, some of you may have heard of the rooftop solar net energy metering that is being discussed and decided at the California Public Utilities Commission as we speak. Right now, our solar customers are paying a minimum of $10, which is really, really good. And the proposal that came out in December is that they will be paying $64. And so that is over a 600% increase of what they're currently paying. And it has been determined from the solar industry that it would ruin their industry, and as well as the adoption for solar that also helps address our climate issues. So because this is a statewide issue, I think it's important to understand that these are some editorials that are being stated around the state about rooftop solar and protecting it. So in LA Times, it states, don't slash incentives for rooftop solar. In the Sacramento Bee, it states slashing solar incentives only helps private utilities. California regulators must back down. And in San Francisco Chronicle, it states, if California is worried about energy prices, take on PG&E before gouging rooftop solar. And so there's other, information that's there, but I'm also trying to make this nice and sweet and quick, and also encourage any of you that want to get involved and take any action to keep rooftop solar growing sustainably, to call the governor's office. And here is the number, 916-445-2841, and you can press 6 to leave a message and just urge him to support a fair deal when it comes to rooftop solar. You can also contact our senator, State Senator Toni Atkins, and also encourage her to sign on to a letter. There is a legislative letter that is out circulating, and is being sponsored by Senator Nancy Skinner up in Berkeley. And you can ask that our senator, as well as our local assembly member, Brian Manshine, who I met with his office. And so in his office, they asked for staffer Rick Hofffield, and he asked for anybody to contact him directly to submit your request, that he also signs on to that legislative letter that is to support solar, net energy metering solar at the Public Utilities Commission. So I'm going to stop sharing now and ask if anyone has any questions.
Questions? Can you just raise your hand if you can, please?
Oh, it looks like I have quite a few. Did you, Jeff? Did you want to?
Let's see. I don't see any hands up.
I see Joe, Craig, and Andrew.
It's funny. Oh, I see. There are a couple different ways you can raise your hand. So, all right, I'll start with Joe, then Craig, and then Andrew.
Yeah, I just have a word of caution, because electricity is just like water. If you don't use enough of it, they have to raise the rates to maintain what they're doing. So rooftop solar really is bad for SDG&E because it's keeping them from making more money. So, trying to keep rooftop solar going is really totally against what SDG&E wants to do.
It is against what SDG&E wants to do, but it's been proven to be a great solution in addressing our climate change, is a great solution in addressing our clean air concerns and issues. It's a great solution in empowering just regular everyday residents with a natural resource, which is the sun, that we can harness a natural resource for clean renewable energy. So it is against the old model. And it's been proven that that old model is not going to be our future. And so it is a pivotal moment in decision making.
I realize that, but you're not thinking about SDG's corporate structure. You're thinking about citizens who really don't matter in the overall picture.
But they should. And so I am here advocating for citizens.
I think Joe's on your side, Sonja.
You get my vote.
You think I get your vote, Joe?
Definitely. Keep going.
Thank you. Thank you so
Craig,
much.
Craig Jackson.
Yes, a couple of comments. One, I have had a solar system for about 8 years now. I pay nothing. It should go probably for the rest of my life. It's continuing to produce. The advantages are great. I use the net metering system because, of course, that gets me something like 7 cents for all the extra power that I produce. And I'm essentially in a steady state. I don't pay anything every month. The other comment is the New York Times had an op-ed by Schwarzenegger a couple of weeks ago, who was, in his own inimitable way, pretty emphatic about maintaining what California has developed, which is the clean energy. I must say that for the most part, I found SDG&E's service to be fine, but if they're making $1 million a year, they
No,
can
a day,
probably
a day.
a day. I'm sorry. Yes, that's what I meant to say. They can probably afford it.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I went ahead and just put the title of the editorial that you made reference to, Craig. It was an excellent editorial. I totally agree with you on that. And I mean, their rates were almost twice. It was nearly $2 million a day. And that's not gross, that's net. And that's literally coming from those that don't necessarily have solar. And so it's coming directly from us, our residents, what we're paying.
Andrew.
Thanks, Sonja, for your presentation. I really appreciate it. I'm right there with you. I've already called enough to comment, and the pressure that we're doing is working.
It is.
So I would encourage everyone here to call those numbers that Sonja posted. And thank you very much for sharing those. And if there's anything, maybe if you can put your information in the chat. So are you here local in Mira Mesa area?
So I work in the University Heights area.
Okay.
But I'll definitely put my information in the chat, and you guys feel free to contact me anytime. And you're right, it is working. And so let me just give you a quick update on how well it's been working. So originally in December, when the CPUC came out with their proposed decision, it was December 13th, and they scheduled for their decision to be voted on January 27th. There was a rally, 2 rallies held January 13th, which was last week, in Los Angeles Grand Park, as well as in San Francisco, where the Public Utilities Commission is located. And over the coverage and the pressure, as you mentioned, Andrea, that's happening, that January 27th vote has now been, postponed. We don't have another date right as of now. I would would love to update you all, but the pressure is on. And so that January 27th date has been postponed until further notice. So,
I heard it was going to be February. I received something today. It was like February. So I don't have it right in front of me, but yeah,
okay.
The pressure's not over. We have to keep putting pressure on.
You're right. Yeah. But that's a good sign. Thank you, Andrew.
I've got one. So I got solar about 7 years ago, and just like Craig, I've been very, very pleased with the way it's worked out. If the new rules had been in effect, there's no way I would have got it, and that's exactly the effect it's going to have now on anyone considering getting it. So I certainly hope we can stop this. I'm wondering though, who actually is the decision maker? You mentioned talking to our state senator and senator and assemblyman, who I expect are sympathetic. But who actually makes the decision?
So it is the California Public Commission. So it's those commissioners, although the mayor, not the mayor, excuse me, my apologies for misspeaking, the governor, we believe that the governor should feel the pressure. We believe that the governor should hear our voices, because the governor also appoints who the president of the California Public Utilities Commission is. So hearing directly, like Tony Atkins, Senator Tony Atkins, we met with her office. Please, every letter, Deanna let us know that, she does read every letter. She wants to hear from the constituents. You guys are part of her district. The governor listens to Tony Atkins, right? Also, believe it's Assembly Member Manshine is your assembly member. And so we work with them as well. And so allowing you to contact the governor directly, you can leave a message, send letters, and encourage others to do so as well. So I believe that the governor's pressure will help pressure the CPUC to make the right decision. That's the theory that a lot of us are working on.
Great. Okay, Sonia, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I would love to stay with you guys and hang out, but I have to jump to another presentation. But I also want to let you know we're having a I Love Local Clean Energy Summit February 15th. We have an excellent expert, Bill Powers. He's an engineer. He's going to be on a panel. We have former legislators. It's going to be a great discussion, and I will definitely share that information with Jeff, and hopefully he will share it with all of you. And that's February 15th.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll go on to elected officials and government agencies. Let's see, I don't see anyone here from Congressman Peters' office or State Senate or State Assembly. Board of Supervisors, I think I saw Amanda Berry. Amanda.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Whoa. I've got alarms going off. Apologize for your ears. Good to see everyone this evening. My name is Amanda Berry, she, her, and I'm representing Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer this evening. My big update, some of you may have heard it before, that's really about the supervisor's action to make sure that people who are in mental health crisis get the care that they need from the appropriate response. When someone's in a mental health crisis, we don't necessarily want law enforcement to show up. It depletes our public safety resources and makes communities less safe. So we have this program called Mobile Crisis Response Teams, or MCRT, you might hear it called. And it's where a trained clinician, a case manager, and a peer support specialist turn up when somebody calls the Access and Crisis Line. And it's not law enforcement response, it's a clinical response. So if you or someone you know or you love is in a mental health crisis, you can call the Access and Crisis Line and have the appropriate response turn out. It's going to be integrated with 911, and I will provide an update when that happens. So that's the goal, so that folks don't even have to remember another number. It's just 911 and the right response team shows up. And I'm talking about it now because December 8th, it went operational countywide. So it's actually available for everybody across the county now. And you're gonna start seeing billboards and radio ads and announcements about it. So you know what you're seeing and what you're hearing. That's the Mobile Crisis Response Teams. I'll put the Access and Crisis Line in the chat. It's 888-724-7240. And it's a good number to have on your fridge, have saved in your phone if anybody that you know deals with mental health issues or could potentially be in a crisis and need help. So happy to take questions, anything about the county as well. And thanks for having me.
Any questions? Anything new on the epicenter?
Nothing new on the epicenter that I can report now, but we are trying to get more COVID testing in Mira Mesa. So that's definitely, we've been looking at areas around the epicenter for that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Michaela, Mayor's Office.
Good evening. I'm happy to defer to Councilmember Cate. I don't want to steal his thunder or any wins from him, so I'll piggyback on his report if that's okay.
All right, Councilmember Chris Cate in person.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Michaela. A lot of it's going to be due to her. I'm going to give her some kudos as well, too. And it's good to see everybody, and thanks so much for having me a part of your meeting tonight. Just wanted to come by and give some updates. There's not going to be very many opportunities for me to come before you as a council member very much longer, as I have 326 days left to go in my term of office. So just wanted to say, first and foremost, thank you to everybody for what you've done, and you've all been a great partner with us along the way for the past 7 years, and appreciate all you do for Mira Mesa, and look forward to being on your side of the coin once I'm out in December. But wanted to give a few updates on a few projects, and if you were at the town council meeting, gosh, last week or the week before, I'm losing track of time. Apologize for the duplicative nature of my comments, but obviously there's a lot of important projects going on right now and want to give you an update on them. First and foremost, in regards to the epicenter, first off, I want to thank Supervisor Lawson Reamer for all of her work and investments in that project, in that center. The last we've heard of it is that we're hopeful to do some outreach and some public meetings in the February timeframe, and hear from the community about some of the services they want to see at that facility. We've been in close contact with Michaela in the mayor's office about what's going to go in that facility and that center, and ensure that the service match with what happens at Park and Rec and what the community desires as well too. So thank Supervisor Lawson Reamer for her work and her staff on that issue. Next project is Gold Coast and Parkdale, obviously something we talked about for many years now, and thank the mayor for his funding of the remaining amounts for this project last year. Kind of where that stands today. We're hopeful to award for the project in May and then start construction in June. And once we get to that point in time, you'll hear a lot more from us, because we want to ensure that the community members are well informed about the process, because we know that'll be very much a disruptive project for everyday lives for residents along those two streets, but obviously that's very much needed. And similar to what we've done in the past with the forums done at nights, the two we have done, we want to make sure that no one can say they didn't know what was going to happen in terms of that project and what to expect. So as we get closer to that period of time, you'll hear a lot more from us, and working with the mayor's office and the city staff to ensure that everyone is very well aware of where we stand with that project. The next one, Mira Mesa Community Park. Obviously, it's something we've been very closely working with you all and Recreation Advisory Group about, and ensuring the funding is there for us. We did allocate funding last year, about $10 million from the city to ensure we can get going on that project. We know we're still short on some funds, but we have been working with the mayor's office and city staff as well too, to ensure that any gaps in funding are potentially bridged through some of the funding that's coming from the Three Roots project. You'll see the budget priority memo that I just issued. We're calling to ensure that the funds that are going to be coming from Three Roots can be used to offset and ensure that we're not losing any opportunities to get done all the projects that we need at that park and have a third additional phase. My philosophy is, if we're going to go in at that park, might as well do everything we can now and not delay that and have cost increase and all the like. So, hopeful there's an opportunity to do that and ensure that we can get all of the benefits from that project done now, as opposed to waiting years down into the future. So we're hopeful that project gets going, and what we're hoping is the final design is done in February, and then we can move on from there. The last one I want to talk about is Carroll Canyon Road. Obviously, the extension of Carroll Canyon Road has also been a priority for us, and ensuring that we can get design and that project done underway as soon as possible, and understanding the importance of that third thoroughfare east-west corridor along Mira Mesa, with Three Roots coming in, and if Vulcan comes in as well too, and Stone Creek comes in, that's going to be a very important project for us. And so we've communicated that to Michaela and the mayor's office about the need to get the funding for that project. So we're hopeful that we could get the design, the planning study completed earlier this year. And then once we have that done, develop the budgeted program for that project and get that going prior to our leaving office in December as well too. So I see this upcoming year as a lot of us setting up the pins, and the next person coming behind us knocking them down. And so we want to make sure we're setting up the next person for success on projects that we know are incredibly important for us in Mira Mesa and the rest of the community. With that, just quickly on budgets, all the council members did issue their budget priority memos this past Friday. The next step is for our independent budget analyst to collate all of those memos and have a public hearing on them. So at that time, we'll know what everyone said. We've submitted ours and we've made ours public. If you haven't seen them, Denise from my office can get that to you. But a lot of the projects are ones that you've all communicated in the years past and trying to fulfill and remain those projects before we leave office. With that, I know Michaela will probably talk a little about Sexy Streets and some of the projects in Mira Mesa that did get funded, which we're incredibly thankful for. Thank you, Michaela. I like to just put her on spot and say that she's done a great job for us in Mira Mesa. We're very, very, very lucky to have her be our rep for the mayor's office because she's very much an advocate for us. So a lot of thanks and kudos goes to her because she spends a lot of time in Mira Mesa, and I get to say things that she can't really say. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm happy to take any questions anybody does have on anything going on in the city.
I have one.
Sure.
So I was talking to Michaela the other day, and after you had a meeting about Carroll Canyon Road, and she said there's a possibility of getting state money for it, which would be very helpful, but it can't be done until the road reaches a certain stage. Can you explain that a little better and tell us what, it'd be awfully nice to be in a position to get money from the state when the money is available rather than just after it's no longer available.
I'll let Michaela take that one.
Thanks. As Councilmember Cate alluded to, right now it's still in the feasibility study. So technically it's not a CIP yet. And so staff is working on feasibility design. Once we get that, that's when it would be eligible for state funding. So I have a meeting with city staff to kind of get a full update of where they're at with the feasibility study, try to push them, and I let them know we have an opportunity to advocate for this on the state side. Possibly, well, not likely the federal side, but the state side. That's the latest update there. So after I meet with staff, I'll be sure to let the group know the latest.
Good, get that money. Craig, you're muted. Craig.
I have a question for you. There's been discussion about using park and rec facilities for childcare. What's the status of that? And would the epicenter be another alternative? Because we have only one park and rec center associated with our community park. And depending upon the time of day, there might be that kind of multi-use possible.
Yeah, great question and appreciate that. There is one drawback that we did note. I know the story that was in the paper the other day didn't allude to this, but it is something that is kind of a, I don't want to say a barrier, but it's something that we're hopeful to overcome. Right now, there's a section in the charter section 55, which states that park uses can be for recreational use only, which we get and respect. One of the proposals that we've put forward, and we're hopeful to put this forward to the Rules Committee, and eventually you'll see it on the ballot in November, we're hopeful, would be an amendment to Charter Section 55, which would allow for childcare uses on site. The evaluation our Real Estate Access Department, Department of Real Estate and Airport Management, DREAM, put forward. They offered up 72 potential sites for childcare. I think 40 of those were on parkland. And so our intent in this is to not open up Pandora's box to a number of different uses on park space, because we know the value of our parklands, but we do have these ancillary buildings and facilities on park space, technically, legally, that can't be utilized. And is there a greater potential to use there to address a very much a need in the city, which is childcare? Whether it's here in Claremont, other locations throughout the city, we have buildings there that are vacant. And what can we do with it? Now, when it comes to the epicenter, that is potential. I don't want to get ahead of the county and Supervisor Lost because they're the ones who are putting up $3.5 million, whatever the number is, for improvements at that facility. But I know they're going to be hearing feedback from the community about uses. This could be potential use. I don't want to speak for them, but without this charter amendment, that's a discussion that's for naught anyway. So the first step is to hopefully place this measure on the ballot, and then have the voters pass it, and then have that discussion.
Okay, other questions for Chris Cate?
I thought I saw Lil's hand up. I didn't want to put her on the spot, but
Lil?
No, that's okay. Thanks, though.
Hey, Chris, I have a suggestion.
Sure.
If they put the child center in the teen center, all you have to do is teach them how to play soccer or basketball, and then it fits in.
yeah, and that's part of it. You hit the nail right on the head, Joe. I mean, it's there's still some question. I mean, all of the uses will have some type of recreational focus on it. I mean, like my kids are in daycare right now, and my daughter does some ABCs and spelling her name and whatnot, but they play, like it's recreation. And so that's, I think, falls in the spirit of it, but we want to be very, very certain that we fit within the language of the charter, and there is no opportunity for misinterpretation. And we have obviously very litigant society, and any challenge on that can derail it. So from my standpoint, better be safe than sorry, and allow for a very narrow expansion of the definition, just to be sure.
Well, once the teen center gets taken all the way down to the ground and rebuilt, if we put it under the purview of Park and Rec, then there is no conflict at all.
I didn't know that was an option.
We're gonna miss you.
I'm gonna miss you guys, but I'll see you anyways. I mean, I'm not going anywhere. You know where I live. You see me at Target. It's all good.
Hey, you live in Mira Mesa, we know that.
I do. Yes, I do.
We're gonna have a business seat open, Chris.
So do I have to make a business permit? Do I have to have a business license for that? No, I love you guys. I'm gonna miss you all. I've really enjoyed my time with you. In the meantime, we're not going anywhere. We still have a year left to go. We're still going to be working very hard. Denise, who hopefully you've all had opportunity to meet, is with our team. She just does a great job. I've already warned her, because I live in Mira Mesa, I'm going to be bugging her personally a lot as well too over the next year, just like I did with Luis. But anything you guys need, just let us know. You know how to get a hold of us.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank
Appreciate
you all.
coming out. Michaela, go on to you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Councilmember Cate. Good evening and Happy New Year. Michaela Volk, Mayor Todd Gloria's Director of Community Engagement, and I also oversee Council District 6. Mira Mesa is so special to the mayor that he not only mentioned Mira Mesa once in his State of the City speech, but twice. And the council member is right. I do bend his ear a lot over Mira Mesa. And that's because of the advocacy, not only this group and the Mira Mesa Town Council, but for those of you who may have missed it, last Wednesday, Mayor Gloria did have his State of the City address, which he laid out his 4 priorities for his administration, which are also a lot of the common inquiries I get from Mira Mesa and throughout District 6: housing, homelessness, infrastructure, and public safety. He mentioned the importance of the community plan updates, which includes Mira Mesa, and he also mentioned the importance of filling our long overdue backlog on streets and infrastructure repairs. He highlighted Gold Coast. And in addition to Gold Coast, which is going to get the complete reconstruction, Councilmember Cate was alluding to his Mayor Todd Gloria Sexy Streets initiative. When we had our Meet Your Mayor webinar last year, almost the whole webinar was about streets, and you could see that District 6 was kind of fulfilled in a lot of the main thoroughfares and high traffic roads for Mira Mesa. That includes Jade Coast Drive from Camino Ruiz to Weston Hill Drive, and then along Miramar Road, Camino Ruiz from Miramar Road to Jade Coast to Reagan. And I know Mira Mesans don't just stay in Mira Mesa. A couple other District 6 highlights include Claremont Mesa Boulevard, Shaw Line, Kearney Mesa Road, Balboa Avenue, Mercury Street, Kearney Villa Road, Armour Street, just to name a few. And then if you missed the State of the City address, I will put in the chat. We have a recording, the speech, and some highlights in case you'd like to check it out. Couple other Mira Mesa updates. The Wagenheim joint use construction is slated to begin the end of this month. And then Salk joint use, they're finishing up the bid there and awarding the contract so they can start construction. I think Jeff and Joe received that latest update, but wanted to make sure the group knew that as well. And then a lot of inquiries over the past month from Mira Masons on Republic Services, even though they are a private hauler. A lot of the apartment complexes, HOA communities do get serviced by them. The strike has ended. Last Friday, the mayor announced that if they didn't reach an agreement by Monday, he was going to take legal action or remove them from city services. By Monday, they did come to an agreement. In case, for some reason, collections were supposed to resume since Tuesday, but if not, feel free to reach out to me and we'll be sure Republic can dispatch a sanitation driver to your home as soon as possible. And that's pretty much it for Mira Mesa. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Michaela or the mayor's office? Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to MCS Miramar. I see Kristen is here.
Hi, good evening and Happy New Year, everybody. I just wanted to come by. I don't have too much to report. We have a squadron of Canadians here again flying through February and maybe another visiting squadron. Other than that, that's really all I have. I do want to get Colonel Bedell out to a meeting. Of course, I've been hoping to, go back to in-person meetings to do that, but I'll work with you, Jeff, and we'll figure out when a good time to get on the agenda would be.
Okay. That's easier to do with Zoom than actually having to move people. So we can pretty much fit him in when he's available.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Are there any elected officials reports that I missed?
I have one question to Christian. Is any news on the big event coming up in September or October?
You'll have to be more specific, Joe. I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about.
The air show.
I'm just kidding. So no final decisions have been made yet on that.
But we have our hopes up.
Yes, we're optimistically planning, but we're definitely looking at it very carefully.
Do we need to send letters to the President of the United States to get the funding?
I don't think so. I don't think we're at that point yet.
Let us know.
Okay, I will. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Kristen. Going on to announcements. Are there any announcements?
Jeff, I don't have an announcement, but I'm sorry, I should have done this at the beginning. There's a letter to the editor in the Union Tribune today about the housing shortage. Apparently there was a house in Pacific Beach that was removed from its foundation and replaced with 4 units, ideal for the increased density, more affordable movement. However, the 4 units are condos priced from 1.2 million. Now, the question is, I know that's more expensive than we would do in Mira Mesa, but is 1.2 million affordable housing in Pacific Beach?
Anyone want to answer that question?
I mean, this is the problem with this, with the way the state has set this stuff up, that, you know, it's still private ownership and you can do these things. So just people need to be aware of that. There's several ADU units going up all over Mira Mesa that, you know, the setbacks are gone. They're right up to the fence. It's really going to be something to see what happens.
Okay, we'll go on to my CPC report. I'm going to put a web address in the chat. We had a presentation by Joe LaCava on planning group reform recommendations. The link I just sent there has the details on that. The history of this is that Scott Sherman, when he was a councilman, initiated both a city audit and a grand jury investigation of planning groups based on a perception that they slow development and were not representative of all stakeholders. Neither the audit nor the grand jury found anything significant, and they made some minor recommendations for changes that CPC had no real problem with. However, then the city attorney said that planning groups, as they are currently constituted, are inconsistent with the city charter, and they need to be semi-divorced from the city so they can be treated as independent organizations. So this is Joe's attempt to satisfy those requirements. CPC was not at all thrilled with them. There were a number of problems they'll cause. And although this supposedly makes planning groups independent, planning group members still have to take the cow for training. They still have to follow the Brown Act. In other words, they still have to require most of the regulations that they did before, but the city will drop almost all support for the planning groups. There'll be no assigned planner at meetings, and whereas currently all of the planning group records are sent to the city and they keep them, after this, planning groups will have to keep their own records. So no one's very happy with this. That went to Planning Commission today and was approved, as I understand it. So it will be going on to the City Council. I suggest people take a look at that. This whole thing was really an effort to kill planning groups because they obviously interfere with occasionally with things that some other interests want. And it's succeeding more than I would like. But we will keep going. Okay, last thing on the agenda is Penasquitos Canyon Preserve Citizens Advisory Committee. That meeting is going on right now. Pam is attending it from the other room of the house. So obviously she will not have a report tonight. Let's see, I think her alternate is here though. Craig, did you have anything to add for Penasquitos Canyon?
Only that there was a topic of that was brought to us a few months ago by the city for a project they wanted to build in the canyon. It's a remediation, I think, for some other work being done in Pacific Beach. And the Citizens Advisory Committee originally had voted it down when it was first brought to them, but when it came back at their last meeting, they did end up approving it after some changes were made.
Good. That was the El Corvo project?
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any other business tonight?
I had a question about the 4th of July, if anyone here could possibly answer. Do we know if we have a location for it this year?
Barry, you want to comment? Is Barry still here?
I think Barry hopped off, but I can comment. We have a meeting next week with the fire marshal, a couple different city departments. and the school district. Sounds like Mira Mesa field is not going to work. The school district is proposing Wagenheim, but the city has concerns because of the construction with the joint use. So we're working through that and asking the fire marshal to come up with other locations in Mira Mesa. So to be continued.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
I think Wagenheim would be great for the fireworks because it will be under construction and you really can't damage it in the case it's going to be there. So that's where we really want to go. And, you know, the other thing is the fireworks, we put those on, we pay for an insurance to cover anything that goes wrong. So when something does go wrong, why can't we use that insurance money to fix what happens so that we have them back at the high school where they should have been all the time?
I can't speak to the specifics on that. I can't recall what was the issue. I think it was the fireworks company that did not want to provide the insurance required by the school district.
From what I understand, one of the fireworks didn't go according to plan, and it burnt up part of the turf, which we should be able to replace that. I mean, that's, you know, that's just a physical thing. So I don't understand why. I mean, we went to the school board and got it, Mira Mesa High School set up as the permanent location for the fireworks. And after one incident, after 30, 40, 50 years, it seems ludicrous that we have to change things on this. So,
Joe, I believe it was the fireworks company that was concerned about the TPO roof on the new buildings.
That's right.
the high school.
Yes, that's what changed.
That was the change
that
that caused the firework company to say they would not do it there. It was not the city, it was not the school, it was the fireworks company themselves.
well, Wagenheim, there won't be any buildings there, so that's good.
The problem is it's hard for a fireworks company if, you know, they can get insurance to cover things that come up that are unexpected, but if there's a risk that they know about in advance, then they're likely not to be covered if there's a problem. So anyway, a lot of people working on this to try to do something. We're hopeful to get the 4th of July celebration at the park back again this year. You know, barring some additional problem with COVID train up before July, we should be able to do the the Fun Day celebration and probably the parade. Although we do have one more problem, which is that the city is jacking up the fees for special events to a level that's particularly bad for things like the 4th of July parade that requires a fairly large police presence. It'll cost about $5,000 just to pay for the police. Okay. Anything else?
Jeff, this is Tiffany. Yes, one more thing. You were going to put a link for the presentation from Joe LaCava in the chat, and I don't believe that came through.
Oh.
So I don't know if you want to
There it
hit
is.
enter there. Thank you.
Yes, I put it in and I forgot to press enter. So it's there now.
Thank you.
Yeah, if people would like to look at that and send me any comments, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff, for all you do.
You're welcome. Anything else tonight? Yeah, so our next meeting will be on February 24th. It's a little more complicated because we can't meet on the third Monday because that's a holiday. So we meet the Thursday after the third Monday, which in February is not actually the third Thursday, it's the fourth Thursday. So it will be February 24th.
I'm going to follow up Joe's comment. I think we ought to make a motion to double Jeff's pay.
I'll second the motion.
Thanks a lot. All right, with that, good night, everyone.